Hi, everybody. I'm Rob Stevens, Vice President at AME, and I'm here with Preston Parsons, a lawyer at Overholt Law, who practices in the firm's core areas of labor relations, employment law, and human rights law. Today, we're going to talk about some of the measures that the federal and provincial governments have put in place to support workers and employers that have been impacted by this COVID-19 outbreak. And this will help AME members to know what they might be eligible for and how to manage working during this challenging time. So welcome, Preston. And I wonder if you could just start by providing a little bit of an introduction about yourself.
Sure. Thanks, Rob. It's a pleasure to be asked to speak with you today. I'm sorry it's under these circumstances. In terms of just a bit more about my own background, I actually started my legal career back in 2009 during the height of that economic recession. So I'm having a little bit of deja vu here in some respects. In others, we're in uncharted territory and dealing with totally new stuff. But I feel a bit forged from that 2009 fire, and that's, I think, prepared me fairly well to approach a lot of the issues that we're facing today in labor, employment, human rights, workers' compensation, occupational health and safety, privacy, all these different areas of law that are being engaged, across the country, federally, every day right now.
Yeah, okay, excellent, perfect. Well, you're well positioned to help us out with a few things today. So there's been a number of support packages that have been announced by the federal and provincial government to offset the impacts as a result of the COVID-19 outbreak. Some of them, for example, extending the deadline for when taxes are due, a one-time GST rebate for low and modest income earners, as well as an Indigenous community fund. One of the things that we're hearing from our members is they need a little bit of help with understanding these various wage subsidy and benefit programs that have been put in place to see what they might be eligible for, either as an employee or an employer. So just thinking about the federal government to start with, I wonder if you could provide us with sort of a short overview of what those wage subsidy and benefit programs are looking like, at least at this point.
Certainly. So there's obviously been a lot that's come up quite hastily from the federal government. They're stressed that they're moving as fast as they can with the information that they have both in Canada and from our international partners. They're all trying to do similar economic measures across the globe. And so in addition to the existing EI regime, EI regular benefits, EI sickness benefits, the work share program, supplemental benefits program, supplemental top-up benefits program that are pre-existing, they've announced new measures, including the Canada Emergency Response Benefit and the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy. These two measures are brand new. The Emergency Response Benefit is set to go live on Monday. And that is with respect to a $2,000 per month payment to workers intended for workers that aren't already covered by the EI regime. So contractors, people who are self-employed, that have been impacted in the sense that they have lost all of their income as a result of COVID-19. And that could be because they've been directed to stay home or because their business is shut down or several other reasons in terms of what related to COVID-19 is. It's intended to be fairly broad and again to capture a lot of workers in that umbrella. And so one thing people really need to be aware of is that the application portal for that CERB goes live on Monday. They're asking, due to what they expect to be a very high volume of applications, that people only apply with respect to certain days of the week based on their birth month. So if you're born in January, February, or March, you can apply next Monday. If you're born the April, May, June, you can apply next Tuesday. And the three sets of days they're following. So Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays are open to any birth month to apply, but it's the first 4 days of the week and moving forward there that they ask that you stick to your quarter of the year for when your birthday was born to apply.
Okay.
So that's important, and people should start getting, companies can encourage their workers to get ready for that by getting their My CRA accounts live and registered for direct deposits.
Right.
And in terms of the wage subsidy, this is, of course, a significant benefit, unlike anything the Canadian government has ever ever created. It's intended to apply now to businesses across the country, big and small, private businesses, not publicly funded businesses, as well as nonprofits and corporations. And the details are still being totally flushed out, but what we have right now is, it's intended to be a 75% wage subsidy up to an employee's eligible remuneration of $58,700. So 75% of that. Of course, if an employee earns less than $58,700, it would be 75% of that the subsidy would apply to. Of important note to this is that an employee needs to be actually on payroll and paid by the employer in order for the employer to obtain the subsidy. So whereas the CERB, the response benefit, is going directly to the worker, the wage subsidy is going directly to the enterprise. So it's going to the business. And for the business to claim that subsidy, they have to have already paid the worker the wages for that period. An important overlap piece is that a worker can't get both. So the employer can't claim subsidy for a period at which the worker has already got the CERB for. And so those are the 4-week periods throughout that time frame. And while the CERB is intended to last until October, I believe it's a shorter time period for the wage subsidy, which is set to end in June, subject to further extensions. So there's different time periods for these, and they continue to evolve. For the business to qualify for the wage subsidy, of course, right now, the criteria is that they have to be able to demonstrate a 30% drop in gross revenues for March, April, and May of 2020 compared to that time period last year. But the criteria for that is evolving as industry comes forward with various gaps.
Right, and yeah, and that's a very good point. The as it currently is defined, that 30% drop in revenue. The challenge for our sector is that junior exploration companies don't have any revenue, and so as currently defined, they would not be eligible for this program. But I think it's important, just for us to let our members know that we're well aware of that. In fact, we had a discussion with the federal government just late yesterday afternoon on April 2nd to raise this issue. We're working with the PDAC and associations across the country to also raise that up with the federal government. And it's not just our sector. There are others. Biotech, the technology sector has raised this up. And so we know the federal government's heard that, and there was never an intention really to exclude these sectors. It's, as you said, they're moving rapidly on these things, and they're looking for criteria where they can assess which companies have really been impacted. So we expect that they are going to be modifying those criteria as we go forward to make what they're referring to as pre-revenue companies, such as junior exploration companies, will be eligible. So our members should just stay tuned for that. So